The Birth of a Nation, the story of July 4, 1776. On July 4, 1776, a significant event in American history unfolded. The Founding Fathers declared the 13 colonies' independence from British rule. This day marked the birth of a new nation, the United States of America. The story of how this came to be is a tale of courage, vision, and determination. The seeds of rebellion. Before 1776, the American colonies were under British rule. The relationship between the colonies and Britain had been deteriorating for years. The British government imposed a series of taxes and laws that the colonists found oppressive and unjust. Among these were the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and the Tea Act. The cry of no taxation without representation echoed through the colonies, reflecting the growing sentiment against British control. Colonial resistance took many forms, from intellectual debates and pamphleteering to boycotts and violent protests. The Boston Tea Party in 1773 was a bold statement of defiance, where American patriots dumped British tea into Boston Harbor in protest against the Tea Act. This act of rebellion was met with harsh reprisals from the British, including the Intolerable Acts, which further inflamed colonial resentment. In response to these growing tensions, representatives from the 13 colonies convened the First Continental Congress in 1774. This meeting aimed to address colonial grievances and seek a peaceful resolution with Britain. However, the situation continued to deteriorate, and armed conflict erupted in April 1775 with the battles of Lexington and Concord. These skirmishes marked the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. The Second Continental Congress convened in May 1775, this time with the understanding that a more drastic solution might be necessary. As the war with Britain raged on, the idea of independence began to gain traction. Influential pamphlets like Thomas Paine's Common Sense, published in January 1776, argued convincingly for independence and helped sway public opinion. The Continental Congress. By the summer of 1776, the momentum for independence was unstoppable. On June 7, Richard Henry Lee of Virginia introduced a resolution calling for independence. The Congress appointed a committee to draft a formal declaration. This committee included John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Robert R. Livingston, and Roger Sherman. Thomas Jefferson, known for his eloquent writing, was chosen to draft the document. Jefferson's draft eloquently articulated the colony's grievances against King George III and outlined the fundamental rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. His words captured the spirit and aspirations of the colonists, setting the stage for a new nation founded on principles of freedom and equality. Drafting the Declaration. Jefferson worked tirelessly on the draft, drawing on Enlightenment ideas and the philosophical works of thinkers like John Locke. He meticulously crafted each sentence, ensuring that the document conveyed the colonies' determination and justified their break from Britain. Jefferson's draft was presented to the committee, which made several revisions before submitting it to Congress. The draft underwent further debate and revisions in Congress. Some delegates were concerned about certain passages, particularly those condemning the slave trade, which were ultimately removed to gain broader support. Despite these changes, the core message of the Declaration remained intact, proclaiming the colony's right to self-governance and freedom from tyranny. Adoption and signing. On July 2, 1776, the Continental Congress voted in favor of Lee's resolution for independence. John Adams believed that this day would be celebrated as the most memorable epoch in the history of America. However, it was 2 days later, on July 4, that the Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence. The adoption of the Declaration was met with jubilation and solemnity. The delegates knew that this act of defiance against the British Crown would have profound consequences. John Hancock, President of the Congress, famously signed his name in large, bold letters, making it clear that he stood firmly behind the Declaration. One by one, the other delegates added their signatures, knowing that they were risking their lives and fortunes for the cause of liberty. The impact of the Declaration. The Declaration of Independence was more than just a statement of separation. It was a powerful expression of the colony's collective will and their vision for a new society. The document was read aloud in public squares, churches, and meeting halls across the colonies, inspiring patriots and galvanizing support for the revolutionary cause. The principles enshrined in the Declaration, equality, natural rights, and the consent of the governed, resonated deeply with the American people. It provided a moral and philosophical foundation for the struggle against British rule and set the stage for the creation of a new nation based on democratic ideals. The Revolutionary War. The adoption of the Declaration did not mark the end of the struggle, but rather the beginning of a long and arduous fight for independence. The Revolutionary War continued for several more years, with significant battles and hardships endured by the Continental Army and the American people. Under the leadership of General George Washington, the Continental Army faced numerous challenges, including shortages of supplies, harsh winters, and a formidable British military. Despite these obstacles, the American forces persevered, drawing strength from the ideals articulated in the Declaration of Independence. The turning point. The war saw several key turning points, including the Battle of Saratoga in 1777, which secured crucial French support for the American cause. The French alliance provided much-needed military and financial assistance, bolstering the American war effort. The decisive victory at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781, where British General Cornwallis surrendered to Washington, marked the beginning of the end for British rule in America. The legacy of the Declaration. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, officially ended the war and recognized the sovereignty of the United States. The principles of the Declaration of Independence continued to shape the new nation. The ideas of liberty, equality, and democracy influenced the drafting of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, establishing a framework for governance that endures to this day. The Declaration of Independence remains a symbol of American ideals and a testament to the courage and vision of the Founding Fathers. Its influence extends beyond the borders of the United States, inspiring movements for freedom and democracy around the world. Modern celebrations. Today, the 4th of July is celebrated as Independence Day in the United States. It is a day of patriotic pride, marked by fireworks, parades, and public readings of the Declaration of Independence. Families gather for barbecues and picnics, and communities come together to commemorate the nation's birth. The celebrations serve as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who fought for independence and the enduring values that define the American spirit. The 4th of July is a time to reflect on the nation's history, celebrate its achievements, and renew the commitment to the principles of freedom and equality. The story of July 4, 1776, is a story of bold visionaries who dared to challenge the might of the British Empire in pursuit of liberty and self-governance. The Declaration of Independence, with its timeless principles and powerful prose, captured the aspirations of a people yearning for freedom. It marked the birth of a nation and laid the foundation for the United States of America. As we celebrate Independence Day, we honor the legacy of the Founding Fathers and the enduring spirit of the American Revolution. The ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness continue to inspire and guide the nation, reminding us of the profound significance of that historic day in July 1776.